All right, and I think we're live, as
Hello.
far as I can tell. Hello. Hi, Kimber. How are you?
I am great at Jason the Flynn.
Yeah, I figured, I finally made all of my different profiles that I went with it.
Yeah,
So
I
because
love
I
it.
think I think I'm officially that on every major thing now. Maybe even some ones people haven't heard of. So
Okay,
it's
I
more fun
love
that
it. I
way.
love it. It's like branding intentional.
Yeah, it's about as brandy as I get. Ooh, brandy.
Brandy.
Anyways, so now that we're here, so Kimber and I were just talking about, what the hell are we going to talk about for the next 30, 40 minutes? And, really, like, spoiler alert, I don't always have a plan of what to talk about, because really what it is Kimber's out there doing like all these crazy, or I see all this stuff that she's doing on Instagram and Facebook, and she's like, look at this marketing and look what I'm doing with this. And everyone's like, oh my God, she's amazing. Every time I talk to her, I'm like, Kimber, you need to teach me this stuff. And she says, okay. And then that's it. So I figured this is a time I get to pick your brain, and we'll let, all 7 other people pay attention as well. Right. We will
Hi,
open it
7
up to
people.
tens of people. All right. So here's what I know about Kimber. Kimber is in Utah, Provo, Utah.
Oh no.
Remember,
No.
I always get that wrong. I
Yeah, and
always
then
get it
it's like
wrong. No,
one
you're in
place that
Ogden.
I don't
Ogden.
want to be
You
from.
hate.
No.
Yeah, you don't want to
South
be from Provo.
Jordan, which is
South Jordan.
Salt Lake
Oh my
City
God.
suburb.
If Joe McHugh is watching this, he will know this, like the 3rd time I've done this, that I've said
He
it
is
wrong.
probably very he's laughing right now. Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so she is from South Jordan, Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I consider her an honorary Californian, though, so I'm okay with it because she
I do
spends so
too.
much time in California
Yep.
to escape the snow. Kimber, what do you do out there in Utah well, you could also cover your personal life, but we're a bunch of high Ds. We want to know, what do
Yeah,
you
we're
do
just like
work-wise?
get to it. So I've been with Keller Williams 8 years. I've been licensed for 2.5 of those 8 years. My primary role, actually have 2. I'm the director of marketing for KW Home Hub, which covers 3 offices in Salt Lake County. And Salt Lake County is the largest populace in Utah. And then I also am the regional technology trainer. So usually everything and all things command with KW. I'm teaching on, helping agents adopt it. And that's, I think, why I'm here. Because
Yeah,
there's a lot
probably.
of squirrels that
Yeah.
people chase and command.
Yeah, and I guess that's the next question is, what do you have against squirrels that, the title of this is Stop Chasing Them? They're cute little fluffy things. Why don't you want people chasing them down?
So when I explain to you, I think your question to me is, what are you either the best at, or what do you think you could really drive home in
I think it
regards
was, what do you love to teach about? But that's okay.
technology? Yeah, command. And I explained it to you, and your output from what I explained was, okay, so stop or quit chasing squirrels. And I'm like, okay.
I don't think that's how it went, but we'll go with it. That's fine. I
Yeah.
think you
So
already told
what
me
I
it. You
told
just didn't know I
you
was going to throw it on a banner. So what does
Yeah, so what I told you
does
that
chasing squirrels mean?
exactly. And I see this a lot. So I guess you know how you walk into a surgery and your surgeon's like, hey, this is the first time I've done this. You get a little scared. I have had thousands of conversations with agents, specifically even top producing agents. Last year, I met with every single member of our ALC. And that doesn't seem like a lot, but when you have 12 to 13 top producers per office that are very high D, very busy, getting to meet all of them, it's a lot of work. So having those conversations, I learned one specific thing, which is everybody needs a little bit more work in doing the most fundamental things. And so I bring that up because I see a lot of new agents that come to, and I'm just speaking for our team meetings, but we'll have amazing team meetings where we get everybody in the room and we put 3 chairs up at the front and every agent sits and they tell us how they do their business. And as a new agent, what always bugged me so bad, like it bugged me, was everybody that they went through, the team leader or whoever's leading the training would ask, hey, how do you get your business? Or where does your business come from every year? And all of them say 3 letters. What are those 3 letters?
3 letters. Sphere.
Of?
Oh, influence. SOI.
Yes,
Yeah.
SOI. And so then as a new agent, I'm just like, well, great. That's so good for you that everybody just calls you every year and you just get all the predictable business, and good for you.
Must be nice.
Like I'm on day 4, right? And so what I've learned from those conversations with ALC members and plenty of other top producers is it's just back to basics, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just they did the exact same thing over time and it produced a certain result. And then they kept doing that. However, the conversations that I had with those ALC members brought up the fact that at some point, everybody, they're all human beings. I'm pretty sure there might be like a chat GPT in there. All human beings end up letting up on those basics. And so then every now and then, and you know this because you were a team leader, you'll have somebody that is proven. They have made a lot of money selling real estate that's coming into you and going, what is happening with the market? How can I do more business? Whatever the thing is, right? So it's not like it sticks forever. And so what I have learned from my conversations with agents is, okay, so they're frustrated about something. Maybe they're not doing as much business. Maybe they're like, well, I don't really understand technology. I always just start with the very basic fundamentals and really it's like a checklist. I'm just like, okay, did we do this? We did? Okay, now we can move to the next round. Have you done this? And I will tell you, and we'll go through those today, but I never get to the end where someone's like, yes, I'm doing everything. So what's my problem?
Yeah. So yes, I've already achieved all of that and I'm selling 7 homes a year, and it's like, I need to also eat dinner, so what do I do next?
Yep. Yeah. So that's the conversation that I just rinse and repeat and go through.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is along the way, I think this is maybe different than maybe what a team leader or an OP conversation would be like. Along the way, as we hit a roadblock, which is, okay, this is where the issue is. My brain is programmed to be like, okay, how can they do that in our system?
Yeah. Yeah.
And sometimes it's, how can they do that in a system? Like I always tell people, I'm not a command salesman. And yet if command can do it and you're already paying your technology fee, that would be a huge win if you used command versus another system. Correct?
And I think that's a great way to look at it is, one, just can it be systemized, right? And that's like something that I talked about when we talked with Alicia a couple of weeks ago. It was, how many things can we just systemize and then use technology or a person, right? Like leverage can come in the form of technology or people. So it's like, if I can systemize it, I can then hand it off to either technology or to people, right? And when it's systemized, you have to go find the system. And it turns out in command, we do have quite a few that will work. And when you find the one that won't work in there, great, then let's go find the other system. But like you just said, if you're already paying for one, we might as well use that one first if it checks all the boxes for us.
I love that you brought that up. And again, this is where if I'm teaching a class, I'm like, hey, like, let's break down the system. And everyone's like, great, this is so cool. And then they just like go to lunch later. And then like, Kimber who? Like, it's like out of sight, out of mind. The first question, yes, I agree with you. Like, what's the system? How can we like make this systematic? How can we make this automated? Before anything else, I want them to answer the question, do you have a smart database? And that is such an annoying question when you need help with command. But I'll tell you what that question means. So when someone's like, okay, well, what's a smart database? So a smart database or a smart business knows who their customers are and has a meaningful relationship with them. That question you can ask to anybody. Like, I dare you ask it to your top producing agent on your team, right? If you're a rainmaker, ask that person. If you're in leadership and you're consulting agents, ask that question, because they will easily be able to self-identify the first step, which is, do I know who my customers are and do I have a meaningful relationship with them? So first question, do I know who they are? Yeah, there's 400 of them and they're all in command. Okay, great, cool. We can move to the next round. If they're like, no, they're all on my phone, I don't know where they are, there's a spreadsheet from 4 years ago, then I am starting with the absolute most important thing first. If I'm like, hey, smart plans, let's go. Let's talk about all the cool things in there. They're like,
Yeah, the bells
I'm
and
not gonna
whistles.
remember this because I don't even have my people in there.
Yeah. And actually, almost like taking a step back just for a second, because I meant to ask a question kind of more to the audience. But so, like, in our market right now, we are seeing a severe lack of inventory, right? And like, we're seeing fewer sales, but those fewer sales aren't necessarily driven by the interest rates going up. They're driven by there's no inventory. So, and as I've kind of stepped back into the agent role, when people ask, hey, how's it going? And say, tell me if you've heard this before. Sellers don't want to sell, right? Sellers are happy where they're at. Sellers are saying they're not going to sell, and buyers want to lowball everything, right? And so I'm kind of curious, what are you guys seeing in your market? And then also anybody else, like anybody paying attention, drop it in the chat. Like, what's happening in your market? Are you seeing more inventory, less inventory, more competition, less competition? Like, just kind of how's it looking in the Utah market or the SLC market specifically?
Yeah, so I think what everybody's feeling a little bit, we haven't forgotten the beginning of last year, which if you remember the beginning of last year, at least in the state of Utah, like, times were still good. I mean, really, it didn't kind of dip out until June. And so there's memory of those prices. I mean, and this means nothing in California, but our average was over 610. Like, it was at 610. And I am like, you've got to be kidding me. I am in Utah and my average is now over 6.
Yeah.
And so now it's kind of back down into the low 5s. And so people that have that memory, they're like, the sellers, they're like, ugh, I don't know if it, like, right? I don't know if that the values are down. Maybe now is not a good time to sell. So I think we are seeing that a little bit, but I will just tell you, because I see a lot of activity otherwise, like just being in leadership role, and everyone is really busy. Our inventory probably isn't as affected, but everyone's really, really busy because basically these buyers are like, okay, they're almost scared now to miss out. And there's so many creative programs, and we have a lot of new starts here, and builders are giving great incentives. So our agents are just doing a really good job, or the ones that are doing business, to grabbing the story that's there, that's going to help their client, and running with that. And I think regardless of what market you're in, that's your first thing you need to always do.
Yeah. So it's like business is still going. Remember, like, April last year is when we saw the interest rates just go from nothing to something, right? Like, that's where we saw that rapid climb up from 3 to 7 for a while. And everyone just assumed that's it, the market's over, right? Everything's doom and gloom. No one's going to buy a house at 7% interest, is what some people were saying. And then it turns out here we are a full year later, we're sitting a little above 6% right now, and people are still buying houses, right? And so it's maybe, and due to the little bit less inventory, and these sirens are going by like crazy right now. Maybe a little bit less inventory.
But it's not too bad.
Okay. The other one,
Yeah.
I think he shut off his siren as he went through the street. It's okay though.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit less inventory, but those buyers didn't really go away. It's almost like we went from 20 to 30 buyers per property. And even if you cut out half of that by interest rates going up, we now have 10 buyers, 5 to 10 buyers per property, which is still really good when you're a listing agent. And those are the agents that are having dinner. When you're a buyer's agent, maybe it's a little bit tougher. And I get this isn't every market. It's not even everywhere in our market, but I shared on Instagram the other day of one of the listings where they had 247 groups through the open house in a weekend. They had 92, I think it was, private show, or 75 private showings and 92 disclosure downloads, because we do disclosures up front.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, that's a lot of interest, and they can sell that house to one person, right? And so it's just kind of showing like you have to be the listing agent in order, like that listing agent, happy as a clam. He's doing a great job. He's going to get paid in probably 14 more days.
Yeah.
The buyer's agents, one of them is going to be really happy and the other 92 are not, or 91 or not.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, so what else are you, talking with the even top agents about saying, okay, you are a top producing agent and you have to keep business going. Maybe you're starting to feel a pinch because the market has changed. What's the next thing that they kind of need to do in order to keep their business up and running?
I would say the number one thing that I'm seeing my top producers plugging into right now is leverage for SOI outreach. And it's interesting. I've had this conversation with people in the good times, right? In those low interest rates, like we've got plenty going on. It's a hot market. We could use those words. And I would hear agents tell me like, I have a lot of business going and I'm neglecting my SOI. Like they're giving me enough business that I've been fine, right? Where it's like, I mean, use the example of like, my card has been working still, so I just keep going. And then one day it's like, oh, decline. And you're like, So
you should have been paying that down a little bit each month.
Or just that's like the, I guess, physical example I can give you. But I would say the one-on-ones that I'm having are very specific on, okay, can you help me set up my touches to my SOI? And these are agents that are consistently making, again, I know there's the California to Utah perspective, but they're consistently over 20 million a year. And they're the people coming in and needing that help. And I think that's where one of the and it wasn't a breakout, it was like a main stage session where Gary and Jay for Family Reunion, they just, in so many terms, just said like, back to basics, everybody. And this is the den of thieves is what they call Family Reunion. They're like, we should call Family Reunion the den of thieves. Mainly like, hear what all these people are doing and just do that.
Yeah.
And if you're not doing it, just start doing one thing.
I literally heard, it was on a Tom Ferry episode, like just, I think the newest one. And he was talking with Tom Toole, and he said, I'm tired of hearing about back to basics, because at this point, the basic has changed to the basic agent is the one that they go to the office, they go to the team meeting, maybe they go on a tour, but they're not doing anything. And so it's almost like our version of basics is the hard prospecting. He literally said it in this episode. He said, at this point, door knocking is now an advanced tactic. He's like, because nobody's doing it. Nobody knows how to do it effectively, and everyone's scared to do it. And so he's like, at this point, that's an advanced tactic. Like, yes, it's basic to the old school, like the old school agents, but how many times have we heard from people saying, you don't need that. You don't need this. You don't need that. Trust me, just buy Facebook ads. And I'm a huge proponent of Facebook ads. We all know that. That's different. But it's like, no, at this point, he said door knocking is a harder skill than most people even have. And yes, they should get back to it. But I just thought that was an interesting perspective shift to say what we are referring to as basics, like maybe how the millionaire real estate agent, are actually now becoming like the rare advanced tactics. And like, that's kind of perfect. I just,
Yeah, I was going to say that. Like, if you are if you're a Keller Williams agent and you use the term back to basics, it's like the book, like
yep.
Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, because we just avoid it. And honestly, when I teach a class as well, I will go and give out page numbers, because I say something and someone might be like, wow, that's great. And I'm like, yes, page 94 is when it says trust is built on a foundation of consistency. So are you being consistent? If you are not building trust with the people that are in your database.
So how are
people not having meaningful relationships with them, which means it's not a smart database.
So then how are you teaching these top producers, or just all agents in general, how to build? So like they come to you, they say help, and you say, well, the first question is, do you have a smart database? Right.
Yeah.
And that's knows who their clients are. The database knows who the customers are and has a relationship with them. What's that next step that you said? That's like kind of the gateway drug. What's the next one?
Yeah. So because like I guess how my brain initially kicks into gear is always like messaging marketing, right? So this may not be the first thing that clicks in for an agent, but this is usually Kimber's response. So again, millionaire real estate agent, page 94, we're talking about purpose. We're talking about value proposition. We're talking about being a fiduciary. So again, I love asking questions because it really helps people self-discover, because there's no better way to get into action with you being like, oh, versus just being, like you have to kind of sometimes learn the hard way. So I'll just ask the question, okay, so purpose. Do you know, Jason, why you should be hired as a real estate agent? Why should they hire you? And not even
because
just
I'm the best.
Yeah.
That's always
not even just
answer.
as at Jason the Flynn, like, why should I hire an agent? Right. You need to be able, so I can turn it into a question. Are you able to articulate to anyone at any time why you should be hired? Nope. Okay. That's on the list, right? This is why no one makes it through all the questions, right? Because you're like, no. So then if you can articulate that, your scripts are stronger, anything you put in marketing, anything you send to your clients, it's all got the layer of like, I know why I'm your person. It's easy, right? And when I pick up the phone, I have way more intentionality around that. I have, but if I don't go in, and we can kind of segue into this, if I don't set up all those, automated systems, and I don't have the market update going out and all of that, then when I go look at that phone, I'm like, well, I've been avoiding them. I don't have a relationship with them. I haven't been sending them anything of value. That call terrifies me. When I've been doing all of that, that call doesn't. I'm very clear on my purpose, my value proposition. Let's go.
I literally saw a top producing agent the other day ask a question in a Facebook group saying, do you ever still just have, and it's, it's a group with a bunch of introverted agents. And they said, do you have fear that even when this is a client I know, that when they call and it's like, oh my God, I have to call them back, and they like kind of clam up. I wonder if it's kind of around that though. It's, well, how good of a relationship do you have with them? How clear is your message with them, like throughout the year, so that when you do talk to them, it's like, boom, smooth as butter.
And if you've been recording it in a CRM, then you know that you've talked to them in the last 60 days. You know that you've been sending them emails. If you don't, then it's like it's just completely flying blind.
Yeah. Are you familiar with Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller?
I'm not.
Oh.
But
Oh
I'm
my
familiar
goodness.
with Building Your Story Brand by Gary Vaynerchuk. He didn't write a book, but he's very passionate about it, and I listen to all his
Yeah.
podcasts. So yeah, no, but
So
I'm interested.
yeah, Donald Miller wrote a book called Building Your Story Brand. He now has there's a specific I think there's 4 books now, kind of like not really a series, but they're all related.
Okay.
And I dropped the link to the one in the chat or in the comments for Building Your Story Brand, and it's all about clarifying your message using the framework that like storytellers use, right? So where you're sitting there, so like with your client, like when you say why should somebody hire an agent, right? And so you literally have to break that down and use their framework. And it's like, okay, what's a first time buyer's fear? Right? Like they know this is a complicated process. Maybe they're going to spend too much, or maybe they're going to try real hard and not be able to buy a house, things like that. And then it becomes, so they have to get from the beginning of the story to the end of the story, which is I bought a house, but they can't do it alone. And they need a guide to come in and help them. And that guide is you, the real estate agent. You're the guide. They are the hero of the story. You're just their guide. And a lot of real estate branding will be kind of like when you said, what's my value proposition? I said, or why should they hire me? It's like, because I'm the best, right? And that's where so many agents will go to. I sell your house for top dollar. I did this. Every day, go through Instagram right now, go to like your city and realtor, like hashtag Salt Lake City Realtor. And I guarantee one of the top posts is going to be somebody saying, I got this client in contract.
10,000
right?
over ask.
Yeah. And really the message needs to be this client was able to get through this incredibly daunting process. How great for them. We were able to help them buy blank, right? And so it's putting them first, but then it's showing how we as the expert guide got them through it. And so it just kind of popped in my mind when you said that. And I'm obsessed with everything story brand. It's and his whole thing is like his story brand is about you are a small business owner or you're a marketer and you're trying to get your message across. And then he's the expert leading you, the hero, through that process. And it's a wonderful thing. Everyone should read it. It's an easy read.
Who is the author again?
Donald Miller.
Donald Miller. Okay. I'm going to look that up.
So, there's a link waiting for you in the recording.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right. So you've now helped them. They've got a message, or they're going to work on their message, about why them, or I do like how you said, why use an agent at all, right? Like in that, because, that's becoming not an option. And especially here, or that's becoming an option to not use an agent, especially here, we will often, someone will come into an open house. They'll talk to the agent holding it open. That's not the listing agent, and they won't work with them. And they're like, no, I will only work with the listing agent because they think it's going to get them a deal, right? And often we will hear an agent that works the open house say, I was like, hey, how'd your open house go? They're like, well, we had 25 people through. Fantastic. That's a fantastic open house. How'd it go? It's looky-loos and people that just wanted to talk to the listing agent. It's like, okay, well, had you had the message that you could describe to them of why they don't need to go directly to the agent, and why that agent might even just turn them around, or what's the benefit of working with not the person that's also representing the seller. So like the fiduciary commitment, and things like that. It really, all of a sudden it's like, oh, so you actually had 25 opportunities slip through your fingers. Instead they just put up the wall. I'm just looking for the listing agent. And they're like, okay, well, here's his card. His number's on the sign. Like, go call him. And it's like, man, you're missing the point that we could be communicating a lot more about the advantage of working with us versus trying to do this on your own.
Yeah. And I think the 8x8, going back to reading The Millionaire Real Estate Agent, like that is the purpose of an 8x8, is to build that relationship and that trust.
Mm-hmm.
And
break down 8x8 real quick, just for people that maybe haven't read it yet.
So 8 contacts in 8 weeks, and that varies between calls and texts and emails. There's a little bit of variation depending on, I guess, which agent you talk to. What I've always been taught is make sure that 4 of them are phone calls.
Makes sense.
Yeah, just that human interaction. But my 8x8 that I have published specifically on the Smart Plan library, it is really about like why you should hire an agent. And the marketing material is that narrative versus I'm so great, like you said.
Yeah, and it's about, and like, I don't mean to keep promoting Tom Ferry, but the thing he talked about in this episode was, what's that?
I said, but I'm contractually obligated.
Yeah. Here's my affiliate link. I wish I could get an affiliate.
No,
link
he
for
knows
coaches.
what he's doing.
Yeah, and the content's mostly free. And he talked about the idea of being market experts, right? And it's like, instead of talking about how, picking up the phone, talking to someone and say, are you ready to buy? Are you ready to sell? Buy, sell, sell, sell. It's, I'm just here to provide information. Here's what's happening in the market. In California, we had a 7-day long, incredibly valuable first-time homebuyer program, but they ran out of funds in 7 days. And like, every agent I know that was worth anything was like, there were people that have never done videos before that were like, here's my first video because I have to tell you about this program, right? And so you're just trying to be the expert, the market expert, the agent of choice that they call when they say, I have a question about this. I'm not saying I want to buy or sell a house. However, I saw your video or your email or your ad about the market, and I now have a question. And then, like you said, and then when we start asking questions, it starts digging deeper. And I have a whole nother rant about that we could do another time.
Well, so I think what you brought up specifically, right? Like, the agent had something of value that they needed to communicate immediately. And, they're trying to cast a wide net and hopefully catch some fish, right? I think it's Amy Porterfield. Do you know her? Are you familiar with her?
I love Amy Porterfield.
I'm on an Amy Porterfield kick right now, so I feel like I'm listening to her more. So write her down. If you've never heard of that name in your life, like, write it down. But one of her things, again, in the more of the marketing sphere, is you need to be giving away your best content for free. And that, to everybody, is like, that sounds like the dumbest idea ever. And yet, this is why you need to do this. And I'm going to segue this into being an agent. You need to do this because you're showing people, if you can't give away your content for free and show this is what of value I do, this is basically what I do, this is my resume, then why are they ever going to pay for anything, right? Versus all of this value, and really, like, you see engagement, you see traction, people are eating it up, and then obviously it can translate to, okay, well, I have paid things, I have paid services. So same thing with agents. Like, one of the most valuable things that we can give away for free in a strategic way is our ability and our skill in order to help you price your property, right? With evaluation. And so if I'm having that conversation with an agent in a one-on-one appointment, we identify that. They're like, okay, cool. The next step is, okay, how can I easily do that in my CRM system? So let me just use this example. If I had started out at this point, so we're how many minutes? We're 37 minutes into this conversation. If I started out at this point saying, oh, okay, cool, then I'm like, so are your people in your system? And they're like, no. And now I have to go back to the first step, right? So I'm bringing up that as a point to anybody that you consult other agents or you're just consulting yourself. This is why you ask those questions first, because then when you get to the whole, hey, I'm going to go all in and give my most valuable thing for free, which is my skill on pricing homes, and how am I going to do that in command? Then we can go, okay, let's go. My favorite form is creating, I know that there's Google Forms, but I'm a Typeform girl. Have you ever heard of Typeform?
Yeah, I use Google Forms only because I know how to find it quickly and I'm already logged into Google. But yeah, I know of
Okay,
Typeform.
great. Yeah. So either way, there's like a lot of cool customization with Typeform, and I get distracted by shiny things. So there you go. You're a shiny things person, Typeform. Anyways, so you can go and structure this form to basically capture information. What's your name? What's your address? Like, what are some of the features of your home? Like, again, asking the hooks, those fun, those kind of smaller questions that people feel comfortable giving to complete strangers. And then there's oh, I'll call you and we'll get you the full detail, right? But I can go create that, all of those questions into a link that I easily can plug into a text, an email, that type of thing.
So earlier when I said I could go on a rant, and I'll save that for another time, we're at the other time. So we're officially,
we held on for 4 minutes and we're back.
So here's the rant. And it goes along, not entirely along, but it goes along with what you're saying. Okay. So at the same time, so Amy Porterfield's thing is give away for free. And then what you have to pay for is the implementation, right? The information is free. The implementation of that information is what's going to cost you money. And so like when you say one of our most valuable things is like that consultation, when we say, okay, this is my expert knowledge of the specific price of your house, right? I could tell everyone for free, here's the general market, but when I get down to your specific house, here's the price. But here's one area where I think agents, we can prove, have taken it too far. It's, do you know the story of Expedia and what happened with Expedia travel website, how they started?
No.
Okay, so this guy, we're going to say this guy, and I'll tell you who it is at the end.
Okay.
This guy calls, back in the day before Expedia, kayak.com, all the different search portals on the internet, you had to call a travel agent or the airline directly. And you say, hey, I need a flight from San Francisco to Denver. And they type, and it goes, like you hear them typing in the background. And they say, I have something on Tuesday, it's $300. Like, Tuesday doesn't work for me. And they go, I have something on Wednesday, but it's $400. Well, Wednesday works, but $400 sucks. And this person sitting there saying, that person on the other end of the phone is making this really difficult for me. They have the information, but the information exists on a network because I can hear them typing, right? And so it exists on a network. And so he figures it out and he goes and creates Expedia.com. Expedia.com essentially destroys the travel industry as we know it. Like, when was the last time you used a travel agent, Kimber?
Yeah, the only time I have is like back in MCA days when I had to book travel for like 25 people.
For other people, yeah. So you might have these very niche cases. It could be
very edge cases for sure. Yeah.
I have a couple of friends that are fairly affluent. They still use their travel agent because they don't want to deal with it. They just say,
like concierge.
yeah. They just say, I need to go to New York to Miami, book it. And it's
I'm hungry. Right? What sushi restaurant should I go to?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So basically destroys the travel industry, right? Because they were protecting this information so tightly that didn't need to be protected. Once he finished that company, he starts Expedia. Once he does that, he goes, what's the next industry I can disrupt doing the same thing? And that guy's name is Rich Barton, and he's co-founded a company called Zillow. Because what was Zillow doing, or what was happening? I want to know the price of my home. I'm thinking about selling. I need the price of my home. I call the local real estate office. I call the top producer in the area based off his marketing and say, hey, I need to know what's my home worth. It's like, I couldn't possibly tell you what your home is worth, Kimber. Like, that is highly secret information. And it's like, look, I just want to know, like, I'm just thinking about it. Like, I'm not even sure. And it's like, well, I can be over there Tuesday at 4, Saturday at 3. What works better for you? They're like, neither. I just want to know what my home is worth. because what's that agent doing? They're, for the most part, using an algorithm to figure out, okay, I'm going to take this radius, I'm going to go back this many months, give or take this many square feet. And they were so afraid to even just give a range that then this guy goes and creates Zillow and says, now anyone in the entire United States, I forget how many homes they have. It's like 90 something percent of the homes in the US have a Zillow's estimate now. And it's a wildly bad range in our area. Like our area, it's terrible. I actually have an Instagram reel coming up soon about how bad it is, right? But they don't care. They just wanted to know what the price roughly was. They didn't want to say, I will sell my home for this price today. They just said, I want to roughly know what it was. And we protected that information way too extremely. So now if I can go to them and say, okay, well, here's a range, like if they respond to my smart plan, right? My Sphere responds to my smart plan and says, I want to know what my home is worth. And I might get them on the phone, ask a couple questions where they're like, I just don't want to meet. Be like, well, here's a range that I can give you. It's between this and this. I couldn't be more specific without actually seeing the property, only because, that would be unfair. I'd be lying, However, here's at least a general range. And they're like, okay with that. Like, okay, great. Right. So we have to be worried or not worried. We have to be careful to not overprotect information. And I think that's to your point. We want to give them information. Now, at the same time, when it actually comes to getting that price, if I tell you your home is worth $620,000 and you didn't think it was, when it comes to getting that price, that's where you're going to pay me. That's where my commission comes in at the close of sale, right? And so I'll give you the information for free, but the implementation, getting that number is going to be a lot harder. And like, some jackass realtor down the street that just got his license 13 days ago may not have the same skill I have in order to get you that price. He'll get you a price, but to get that price, you have to call me, right? You have to talk to me.
Yeah, so. I love that. On the just on that specifically, I think we all deal with Zillow in one way or the other, right? Like this is just it's our industry. And again, it happens all the time. What's so crazy to me is that how long ago was the Millionaire Real Estate Agent written?
Is it 2006?
I actually need to know. I don't know. But a long time ago, right? Where it's like iPhone for sure wasn't out. Like, right? Our whole lives were totally different technology wise, I guess you could say.
I may have been in high school.
Yeah, something crazy like that. So fiduciary is a big subject in the MREA, page 97 specifically. And I think it says, maybe not verbatim, but it says a fiduciary can easily do functionary work, but a functionary cannot easily do fiduciary work. And this is the true difference between average and exceptional service. So if I'm amped with that, then Zillow's just another thing out there. I'm in relationship with my people. They have a good idea of what their house is worth. And I've been in front of them. I'm going to represent them at a high level. I could specifically speak to Utah, like we're a non-disclosure state, right? So as a licensed real estate agent, I have access to sold data that the public does not have access to.
Interesting. Yeah.
These are powerful tools that I have in my tool belt. And I'm okay with that. Zillow exists. I can't do anything about that,
Yeah. But what can you do something about? Or what can the agents do about it?
Yeah, I mean, be that exceptional service. So we're at the point where we're like, okay, I'm communicating the things that I can do. I'm communicating like I'm here to help you. I'm giving you education. I'm inviting you to really cool events. Like we're in relationship.
Come hang out.
Yeah, like I have a barbecue coming up this week, like all of that. We're in relationship. And that's an agent that is going to be on that panel that new agent Kimber is annoyed with because they are nailing it in that aspect and they are getting repeat referral business.
Mm-hmm. And that kind of ties it back to what you said at the beginning about being the new agent sitting in the team meeting, right? And having the top producers sit there. You have 3 top producers that all say, hey, I built my business, or, where did your business come from last year? And they're like, oh, Sphere, SOI, right? And being that brand new agent and not having that SOI to instantly get 26 transactions this year from, right? At the same time, there are some transactions in there. And if you don't start working on it now, you're not going to get there, right? Like you have to get in that relationship now, start working with them now. But then also, we got to go, again, what we call the basics, back to the basics of also do the other things, because the other things do work, right? So it's like, and you probably know the page number. What page number is it in the MREA where it talks about how many people you need in your Mets or not Mets in order to net $1 million? I know the number. It's 1,980
Oh, okay.
Mets. It's 1,980 Mets. I forget how many not Mets it is. And it says you can either have 1,980 Mets or 10,000 not Mets, or some combination of the middle, like whatever the numbers are, or some combination in the middle. And it's that where it's like, fine, if you only have 200 people in your database right now, go get in a relationship with them and talk to them and be their expert and create little parties and invite them to it, and go do some of those basics. Do the open houses, do the door knocking, do the circle prospecting, whatever it is, to slowly add some more in consistently over time. And I totally agree with you that those 3 top producers on that panel, they did not start there. They're going to talk to you all about how, oh, you don't need to do open houses, you just need your Sphere. It's like, yeah, but you used open houses to get there, to get those first clients in the door.
And I get that story, right? When you get told a story, you're just like annoyed, or you're like, okay, cool, another story about a top producer that started out, right? I get that. And when you're in a leadership role, or you've been in the office and in the trenches long enough to really see, I have physically seen people come in here, like, license is brand new, activate their license, they go sit in Ignite. And I'm talking to them the other day about I think their GCI last year was over 800,000. In the time that I've been at KW, they walked in this building, gone to Ignite as a brand new agent, and now we're talking about, getting really creative about networking through LinkedIn, or, like, they're just, again, they're evolving in certain ways, and they're also just doing the same freaking consistent thing.
Yeah. So I recently kind of moved back to my hometown. Like I was living here, wasn't living here. Like I've gone back and forth. Recently moved back. Okay. Ran into someone I know. I haven't talked to him in 20 years because I graduated. We just had our 20-year reunion. And I know I haven't talked to this guy since high school. I know I'm old. I haven't talked to this guy since.
So I'm in shock.
Yes, I'm 25. I graduated at 5 years old.
Okay.
So I know I haven't talked to this guy in 20 years. Run into him at a coffee shop, and he says something about, I saw your post the other day about blah, 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 about real estate. No idea we were even friends on Facebook. Kind of didn't know the guy lives in the area anymore. Like not paying attention to this guy at all, but he's paying attention to me. Right. And so it's like you have people that are paying attention that you don't know are paying attention. And that's where social media can really be our friends. Right. Like where we're just sending the information out there, and it can feel like you're going into the ether. It's same with email lists. Right. Like if you're sending emails and you're like, well, this person never sends an email back, doesn't mean they're not paying attention. Right. Like they're watching and they're paying attention. And that also means why you can't be a jackass, but that's different. But it's like they're paying attention and you don't know it. And so then, using social media right now, it's still a killer way to get in touch with people where I have them in command, but I don't have their phone number. I don't have their email. I don't have their address, but I have them in social media. Right. And so when I log in to do my DTD2 and it's just a name and it's all blank after that, it's like, great, go jump into Facebook, jump into Instagram, and I can find those people very easily. And I've just been doing that to reconnect with people. Shoot them a message. Hey, LOL, I saw your funny post. Haha. Starts a conversation. because, and then I'm finding out that they are actually, oh yeah, I saw your post about yada, yada, yada. It's like, wow, I did not know you're paying attention. And that's happened 10 times in the last 2 months, probably, of just random connections that we didn't know people were paying attention to.
Yeah, I think that's all like, what do they call it? Like double stamp, or what's the like, I agree, applause. I don't know.
You agree?
So there's like a double click. I don't know. It's like
I don't know.
overexcitement.
But you agree. I like it.
I agree. Yes. And now I got so off on a tangent that I don't remember what I was just about to say.
It's okay. You were going to say communicate with your people at a higher level using your database,
no, I
and you'll
remember
get business.
what I was going to say.
Okay.
So again, quit chasing squirrels, right? Like back to
yeah.
basics. Like, you know, the specific things, like we've talked about some of the things you're going to ask yourself, right? Because again, you go sit down with a leadership member, you go sit down with somebody that's going to help you implement some of these systems. Unless you've really broken this down, like, you're probably, in the best term I can say is like putting the cart before the horse. But one of the most, like, hopefully you've written down a few different things, but one thing that's really understated, right? Because this friend that's like random, you haven't seen for 20 years, if you're in somewhat of a relationship with them and you send them a birthday card, like, I know we all go to a family reunion and we hear people say, I send birthday cards. And you're like, oh my gosh, you're so innovative. Like, you're just like, okay, give me something cool or new. But think about people remembering you on your birthday and the difference of feeling in that versus any other thing you're going to get for the rest of the year. It's different. I'll just say it's different for me.
And how many cards do you get on your birthday now?
Like none, because my grandma's gone. So none. So please send me a birthday card.
I'm glad I brought that up.
Right? Yeah. But like,
so because I use this one all the time. I sent my first year of real estate, or maybe second year of real estate.
Yeah.
I sent someone a birthday card because he used to live in California. He has 3 houses in California. He moved to Ohio. And I sent him a birthday card. And I had a gift card sitting in I had just hired an assistant. So she built out a system for me. She put the card on my desk. She put the gift card on my desk, like $10 Starbucks gift card. Here you go. Sign the damn thing. It's like, oh man, this is so uncomfortable for me. Said, hey, Brian, like, hope you're, happy birthday. Hope you're staying warm. The 49ers suck. Even though I love the Niners, he loves the Niners. So I say the 49ers suck.
Oh yeah.
Here's a gift card. Give him a gift card, mail it to him. I get a call 3 days later and he's like, hey, I got this birthday card from you. I can't believe it. Like, that's amazing. He goes, I'm going to be in town next week and I think I finally need to sell one of my houses. Do you want to talk about it? $550,000 sale. Yeah, $550,000 sale because I sent a $10 birthday card. I've never sent another birthday card again. You would think I would do it again. But yeah. I've used that example because then I break it down to everybody I know. Okay, I'll bring up something about it. Everybody I know goes on Facebook and says, happy birthday. Happy birthday, Kimber. Happy birthday, Jason, HBD. Someone we know that passed away, his birthday was earlier this month. There were so many comments on his, I hope you have a great day. I hope today's the best day you have. Happy birthday. It's like, this guy died a year ago. Yeah. And I'll forgive the people that truly didn't know because it's possible they just didn't know. But most of them are just blind out there putting out happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday. And okay, so like you can go next level down, texts, shoot me a text, shoot me a video text. Now we're really getting there of saying like, hey, Kimber, happy birthday. This is Jason, right? We're getting really personable. And then once you send the card, it's like, I now get, I'm same with you. I think I get 2 or 3 cards. My mom. Yeah. Actually, my mom, a grandparent, maybe another grandparent, and that's it. Right. So you get, all of a sudden I get one from Kimber and it's like, oh, like there, that's a new one. And so,
and something a lot of people don't know, but Facebook, whether you use it or not, it is a great source of data, right?
For
As far as all of your people.
birthdays.
And there's actually a Google Chrome extension that will export birthdays from your Facebook database. And so then you can go and easily
Did
put
not
them
know that.
in your CRM. Yeah.
There's my nugget.
It's called like birthday calendar exporter for Facebook. You can just like Google it and it'll probably pop up as an extension. But I mean, think if you're like me, you've got 3,000-4,000 people on there. You click that button, you're going to have that, all those birthdays exported. There's a field forwarding command. As soon as it has that field,
Amazing.
you add them.
Amazing.
Yeah.
We're sitting at like an hour. What's your final tip? What's your final takeaway for people?
Yeah. So I'm going to assume that you guys are all like me, exactly like me. Okay.
My hair is just like yours.
Yes. So if you're exactly like me, you aren't necessarily what you would consider a numbers person. Like I don't like to be in the weeds, like the accountant style of numbers. And
weren't you an MCA?
Yeah, that's
okay.
why I'm not anymore. I'm like, why am I here?
Not a numbers person. Got it.
Yeah, I'm not a numbers person. And I'm high C, and so I like that like calculation. If I know why, more or less, if I know why, then it's easier for me to adopt anything, right? Like I don't want to eat this. Okay, well, you'll lose a pound a week if you do. Okay, I'll do it. Like versus just because I said so. That does not work for me. So if you're like me, then just start with the basics of being like, okay. And this is the time I usually have this conversation with agents. They're not going to renew their board dues. I'm going to go back and I could sell 3 houses a year and make that salary, but instead I'm just going to go make that salary. I just don't want to deal with it. I want the security. And there's millions of reasons. I'm not saying that that's bad or good. Like it's just usually this is when I have the conversation. If I go back to, okay, what was our goal? Why did we get in the business? Well, because we wanted to make $200,000 a year. Okay. And our average commission is $16,000 roughly in Utah, right? So, okay, we know how many deals we need a year. We need about 13. If we divide that by like the opportunity for conversion, which I think I wrote down as like 6.3 something %, then I know I need 204 people in my database that I'm in relationship with, that I have 36 touches or more going out to. And those 36 touches consist of, you fill in the blank. If I do that over time, then I'm going to get this amount of deals a year. I'm going to get that 13.
Yeah. And then when you look at even just adding a couple a week, even a couple people a week, add a little into that, it just grows so much faster. It's crazy.
So once I have that number, then I'm just like, okay, so it's really just all about the activities and what I do every single day. And so this is just, I know we're just like barely ending, but there's an underbelly little thing that I don't even feel like people use a lot in Command, which is the tracking your activities. And if you go into your settings, go set up your activity tracker, it will then show in the reports. So it doesn't show unless you go and actually set it up. You can have it send you an email every day to go quickly record your activities. You can say what days you're working, and it'll just ask you like, how many conversations did you have today? And then you're logging your activities, because you can't know how much I did and is it enough and did I get better if you're just getting through every day. You're like, well, I did 8 hours of time in the office, but a lot of times we don't even know what that equated to. So those would be the biggest things, like know your why, know your number, like not even your why, like know the actual, like, what do I need to do to still make this worth it for me? Make it a math problem and execute the math problem every day. And what Gary would say as an add-on is do it before noon.
Yeah.
And like, let's try that first before we get out of the business, right?
So just to clarify on that, so what it is, you go into the command settings. On the left, it says command settings, go down to reporting and then activity tracking. Then that's where you can set it up. It's not
set it up, and
time,
then
though.
when you jump back over to reports, it'll show as one of the sections, and that's where you'll be able to see it all. But you'll tell it if you want to, like, hey, I want to get an email at 10 a.m. every day on these specific days. And then it will just send that to you. You click on the link, you go record your activity. So I have it send it to me at like 1 p.m.
So then your goal is to have your activities completed by 1, right?
Yep.
Is that how you're
saying if it sends it to me at 9 a.m., then it's like I'm having to record it for the previous day. And I don't know about you, but my short-term memory leaves not much.
That's so funny. I've never used this. I've seen it. I've never once used it. So that's my second thing. So I got 2 takeaways today.
Yeah, so, great. Yeah, so those are I told you, like, very basics. I knew I wasn't going to be telling you anything you haven't already heard, but hopefully it was packaged in a different way where it just seems a little bit more applicable to pulling out all of those, I guess, like resistance. We put a lot of resistance in it, and really the resistance is just a story. Someone's car is being broken.
Car alarm. It's going to be, oh, thank God they got to it. I was like, if this beeps, I'm just going to end this live stream.
You're like, okay, bye guys. But yeah, so that's just think of those like basics. Make sure your database is in a CRM that is functioning, that has things going out. And if you're on the leadership side, especially tech trainers, lean into these questions and conversations with agents before you go, okay, so here's where you do smart plans, download. Because really, like, someone may be having a hard time with even the fact that they don't even know if, like, I have 150 people, what does that mean? Like, you're going to do a lot more for people in the long run if you kind of help them put it all together. And so I would just say add that level of training when you meet with agents.
Yeah. Anything else?
No, I felt like this was more casual and I kind of liked it. I might try like
more fun to just chat.
Command training, the casual edition, and see.
The casual. Just wait till it ends up having like pizza and beer. You're like, all right, let's get through some training.
If it brings a crowd, like that could be, it's not the worst idea. Okay. I'll pilot it at our market centers and I'll let you know how it goes.
Do you want people to contact you at all?
Oh, yes.
We should have talked about that a long time ago, but it's okay. We're casual.
I'm ill-prepared with the slide. Yes, my email, if you want to share it, is just kimberwalton@kw.com. That would be the best way to get a hold of me.
Because your name is not Kimber Walton, Utah, like it says on it. It's not like a hyphenated name like it says on your screen right there.
No.
It's Kimber Walton at kw.com. Yeah. So just reach out to you if they want to talk about marketing or tech or anything. I would say send her your support tickets for Command.
Yeah. So I love, yesterday. Yeah. Okay.
Yesterday was a fun one.
Yeah. So my website is thecontentgroupco.com.
Groupco.com.
Just go there. But again, email me if you have any questions or reach out to me. I have a section on my website that's just for curated. Curated is really defined as I have an idea of something that I want to do in my marketing and I need someone to implement it. And you just go sign up for a time to meet with me. And
Ooh. And then what do you do with that? Like you help them create it, you connect them with someone else, or you do it for them?
Yeah, so it would be my company that does it, but I have that in a curated is more just in an appointment schedule because usually that's this weird one-off. I need to do this specific flyer, or, you know,
Mhm.
I want to create a really cool farming piece that's not already implemented. The other services that we have on the site, I just like to say, specific plays that you run as an agent. I need to market my listing. I need to send a newsletter every month, or send multiple newsletters every month. I need that, and I need a postcard every month. Those are some of the services, but everything outside of that really falls under curated. So.
And this is any real estate agent, not just your home group Utah buds.
Correct. Yeah.
Yay. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, unfortunately for you, I'm about to spam your inbox with requests.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. That was a peace sign. It's my favorite sign, by the way. I'm from the 70s.
Well, I like it. All right. Well, let's wrap this thing up, because now we're just rambling.
Let's
All right.
do it.
Reach out to Kimber Walton at kw.com or thecontentgroupco.com. And Kimber, hang on a second once I end this so it can copy the thing and not delete our content.
Cool.
So, okay. Bye.
Bye.